Today, after countless requests, I'm going to bring you Diniz's Destroyer. That is going to be right. We're finally going to get there. If you do enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription because we've got a whole year worth of tactics, and also comment below what you want to see next. Let's get into the testing. So, we're going to start off in Brazil today, obviously with a team that are predicted to finish in 4th place. We have come out and obviously outperformed that as we always do, winning the league by a 3-point gap, which is getting the job done, simple as that. It's going to be a quadruple as well, as you also win the Copa. We also win a couple of the Brazilian Cups as well, making it a quadruple winning season and 1 trophy off winning 5 trophies in 1 season. But unfortunately, Manchester City, always a bit of a big fish to overcome. A big fish, a big team to overcome. In terms of the team stats, 76 goals scored and only 30 conceded. And this star man here, by the way, who looks like an absolute baller, coming in with 48 goals. And it is going to be Guga and Alexander coming in, joint assists with a staggering 17. Going over to the team stats, it is going to be 57% of the ball tied with rank 1, obviously the most points per game, and a very defensively solid 16 and 13 fewest conceded. So do you know what? We're not going to complain at all. And going over to obviously the real key part, the data hub. 2 goals a game, 0.79 conceded per game, just over 12 shots a game, almost a 90% pass completion, and almost a 78% tackle win ratio. So a very solid tactic that defends very, very well, has good levels of possession, and also can go out and score around 2, but with slightly better teams, you've got to see the difference. This is going to be what happens when you test with a somewhat of a powerhouse. Obviously, Real Madrid are joint in terms of the powerhouse rankings over in Spain, but we had a very convincing season, picking up 97 points, obviously, in the Spanish League. We also won the Champions League against FC Bayern. We won the Spanish Cup against Real Hispales and the Spanish Super Cup against Real Madrid. We scored 88 league goals, ranking us the 2nd best, only conceded 21, and yeah, picked up 0 red cards. Lewandowski, 50 goals. It will do, and it's going to be Frankie de Jong and Gavi, another joint assist coming in with 21, so very good stuff here. In terms of the team stats, we are going to feature in the most points per game, the most shots at 593, the fewest shots against at 132, possession-wise, 60%, so still a very good level amount of possession, and also the fewest conceded at 21, alongside of 21 most clean sheets. In terms of the data hub, we are going to be looking at 2.32 goals a game, 0.55 conceded, getting on towards 16 shots a game, 91.22% pass completion, and practically an 80% tackle win ratio. So when you are playing as a real decent team, you're easily, even without playing as a top team, you're definitely going to get your 2 goals a game. This is more of a calm and composed sort of system, as I'm going to break down later on in the video, but it grinds out results, and it really is a different way of playing football, and I'm all for that. Of course, going over some of the squad stats, the goals, we're going to have 50 coming in from Lewandowski. Now, Araujo is going to be picking up 14. That is going to be majority from set pieces, but to be fair, he was playing a fair bit at right back, and he is a very aggressive player in that sort of right back role, especially with the instructions we're going to have selected. So he did score a few goals from open play as well. So this will not be as accurate if you've not got the set pieces that I have, so I would recommend you get them as well. 14 for Pedri, 12 for Rafinha, Gavi coming in with 8, Gundogan with 8, 8 for Frankie de Jong as well, the absolute madman. And going over to some of the actual assists, 21 for Gavi, 21 for de Jong, 14 for Rafinha, Torres 12, 11 for Balde, Pedri with 10, 9 for Gundogan. So that's going to be, as I love to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players with 10 plus assists, and a boatload of people contributing with the goals as well. Obviously, in this system, you are going to be more relying on one striker, and as a great example, Lewandowski is actually injured now, so we can see the importance. It's a great time for me to bring it up. Make sure you've got a good backup, because this is a bit more reliant on that 1 goal scorer. And lastly, I can't show you the data hub because, very annoyingly, it's not on here, but I am going to go over the results we had with a few years with Brazil, and you know what? I actually played majority of these games apart from the friendlies, because I never have actually played internationally with Brazil and FM24, and I thought it would be quite fun. So a 2-0 win here, a 0-0, a 2-0, a 4-0, by the way, against Argentina. Obviously a very, very big game there, and a very big win against a top team. Chile, 3-1, Colombia, 4-0. Obviously a lot of these teams you are expecting to be beaten, but again, Argentina, 2-1, very, very good. This was a little bit of a disappointing month, I'm going to be honest, a 2-2 and a 1-1, but it's important I show you guys that the mistakes of this tactic here and there, because you need to see that at the end of the day. But then we bounce back in a 10-0 win over Bolivia, an unfortunate loss against Uruguay, bounce back against this team and also Peru. And then we have got a couple more years as well, to be fair, against Argentina again. That is going to be a 4-1, a 4-1, a 2-1, was it? And a 4-0, a 2-0 against Chile, a Colombia. Very dramatic game there. A 4-3 win, beat Paraguay, beat Ecuador, beat Bolivia again, and that is going to seal that out. So we played quite a fair amount of time, but as you can see, let me go over to the game. This was the Copa America final, so that is going to be a big W. I'm going to watch some highlights now, but I will quickly show you this unbeaten spree, which we actually got with the weakest team in the video. So it's got to include this friendly here, and then obviously we can go all the way back here. You can see the results. Absolutely fantastic. But if you're that, you're that determined to count them, feel free to do so. The one on the other page, and it goes all the way down here until, unfortunately, you get the first loss in that first division. And majority of these were actually wins. So although it says unbeaten, it was actually almost a win streak. Absolute dominance towards the start of the season. Yeah, we did lose a couple of games towards, like at this stage of the game or this stage of the season. This was a real rough month here. But at the end of the day, we won where we needed to. We won almost everything apart from that last cup final against City. But let's go in and watch some of the highlights. So I'm going to go for goals for the first highlights just to see where they come from, and you can get a rough indicator on how well this tactic performs, as a beautiful goal gets displayed there. Instantly going from the back to midfield, instantly leading into a goal, and you can see there a bit of recycling on the edge, playing it back inside, and we are not afraid to cut in from either side of the field and get the job done. Simple as that. Back inside to Ganzo, chip ball across, and Arias leaps above his man, and he gets the goal. And the last goal coming in, a very well put together set piece, and that's why you need them, guys. Get them downloaded. But then we'll get another 5-0. As you can see, an excellent free kick going there. A bit of building up from the back into midfield, a great overlap and run into Arias, and this guy, by the way, absolute flames the entire season. Melo spreads it across into Kano, who's going to go cut inside, and in terms of footwork, you don't see much better than that as we go again, spreading it out wide, back inside, loads of options. Bit of a mixy one, that one, but we're going to take it, we're going to claim it, and the last goal coming in here, a great ball over the top into Arias, back into Alexander, and how about that for a finish? Have some of that. And I'll throw this game in as well, because the cup finals weren't the most exciting. I'll probably show them towards the end of the video. But you know what? An 8-0 win. I mean, it's as dominant as it can be, to be honest. Lewandowski getting things off to a great start. Gavi now, a great ball in. And you can see there, one of the very many examples of a Araujo picking up his set-piece goals. So dominant in the air. He really is. This might just be a set-piece video at this point. Christiansen getting his cherry as well. We love to see it. We really do. Lewandowski playing it into Balde, driving up the field. Gavi, a great run from Lewandowski, and at this point the goalkeeper may as well have went home. I mean, it's absolute dominance from this Barcelona team. Araujo now so pushed up into De Jong, into Ferran Torres, and we can see how deadly this tactic is at going direct when it needs to do so, but also that short sweet passing play building up when we need to do so as well. And another set piece goal coming in from Koundé, as it's now going to be Balde coming in. You can see here the options in the box. This is going to be an incredible ball. I hope you're going to leave a like for this one. Balde, ball in the box into Lewandowski. No one can stop him. This man in the air matches against anyone in the game of football. He really does. As now Gavi goes down the left-hand side. Again, so many options. Lewandowski, it's unsavable. So, of course, it's now going to be time to break down the tactic. If you are enjoying so far, please do leave a like and definitely subscribe to the channel. I also want to say we are live streaming basically every single day right now. So do come over. The energy is unmatched in that Twitch channel. It really is. Loads of you guys have already come over. The link is going to be on the screen and also in the description. But let's break down the free variants today. So, starting off with the default version, your average 4-2-3-1, but it has got a little bit of a twist with a little bit how the player roles actually work. But the other two variants are going to look very similar in terms of how they lay out in game, but starting are going to be different. But the sweeper keeper is going to be on the default. The inverted wingback is going to be on support, on get further forwards. Two ball playing defenders, both on the default instructions. Now, you could use central defenders, and some would argue at least one should be a central defender, but I have gone for more meta themes. I'm going to be honest, hands are up. To get the better results, I have gone with two ball-playing defenders. An inverted wingback is going to come in on support on the left-hand side, simply on get further forwards. And as you can see, these players are going to be very aggressive. So if you are getting caught out in wide areas on counter-attacks, this is where you need to be looking, because you can obviously untick this instruction. Going over to the two in midfield, a Volante is going to come in simply on the default. nothing selected, nice and simple. No, it's not a mistake. We just simply need nothing really extra from him. So nice and simple in that regard. A Register is going to come in on support as well. Again, nice and simple, nothing to panic about. Sometimes in tactics, it happened with, I believe it was the Xabi Alonso one, there were quite a few roles where there were no instructions, and you don't need to worry about always having the best loads of instructions on. On the left-hand side, we are going to have an inverted winger on support, on pass it shorter, and also stay wider. And talking about support, guys, if you do want to show some support on the channel, you can check out the Patreon. We've got over 653 people, so clearly it's worth joining. We've got over 8 perks, including access to all 3 of the tactics today. You're going to also get early access to the videos and the tactics. You're going to get priority in your rebuild and tactic requests. You get one-on-one tactical help. You get Twitch stuff. You get a rank. You get access to the giveaways. There's so much, and I'm always looking for more stuff to give back to you guys. So definitely check it out. The link is going to be in the description. But going over to the middle, we're going to have an AM on support, on roam from position and move into channels. On the right, an inside forward on support, on pass it shorter and roam from position. And to finish it off, the cherry on top, the steak on the plate, whatever you want to say, it is going to be the advanced forward, simply on attack, naturally coming into move into channels. This whole masterpiece was based off a clean slate on a positive mentality, just to clarify that. Going over to the in possession tab though, we're actually going to opt for fairly narrow. Now, the reason why we've dropped it down from this to this is because the players just being a little bit more compressed, they link up a lot better, the passes are a lot more sort of complete, and it's really fluid. It's probably the perfect way to describe it, to be honest with you. We're going to have underlapping runs on the left and also the right, because this way it really gets some inverted wing backs heavily involved in the game, and obviously they are being told to get further forward, so we need to make the most out of that role. In terms of the directness, it's going to be much shorter, so you are going to naturally see very good levels of possession in this tactic. And the last thing on this one is going to be mixed crosses, so not too much, but it fits the system. That's all we need. Oh, in transition, we are going to have a few meta things selected, and that is purely to replicate his style, but also it does get results in the game, and I know you guys love to get results in the game. That's why you click on the videos. So counter press, counter, distribute to anybody across the back line, and take short goal kicks. Now, for those of you that are playing as an underdog team, maybe you haven't got the confidence to play out from the back, etc., etc., in terms of taking it short, you could go long with this, but it would heavily affect how the tactic sort of is meant to play. Would it still work? Yes. Is it then a replicated version? No. So that's completely up to you guys and how you wish to obviously partake your team. And lastly, for the default variant, we are going to have the out of possession. So it is going to be the standard line, the high press line of engagement, more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and also get stuck in. Now, as I said, the other 2 variants today, I would highly recommend you stick around for, because they are very similar to this, but shaped a little bit different, but sort of suited to sort of go back to a 4-2-3-1. Hard to explain, but do stay around to see them. We're going to watch a few more highlights from this, and we're going to get right into the other 2 variants. But let's get into it. So I think it's only fair we watch one of the best games in Brazil's sort of, not history, but the history of this save, a 4-0 win over Argentina, and they actually do go down to 10 men quite early on as well. And right from the get-go, inside of 2 minutes, they were looking pretty shaky, as Rodrigo presses the opposition, wins the ball back, and obviously gets a reward for doing so. It's now going to be Vidi out on the left-hand side. He's just going to take, who is that? Because he's just been destroyed. It's going to be Foyth and DePaul, both getting absolutely destroyed on that left-hand side, and a goal comes from it as well. How embarrassing for the Argentine defence. A set piece here, Carlos, a ball in the box. It is going to be the big man, Gabriel, getting his header in a 3-0 game so far, and the last goal is going to be Rodrigo. I was not expecting that. Absolutely sensational. Why not? The Copa America final, a 2-1 win over Argentina as well. They actually did go 1-0 up here, and this looks beautiful. Look how vibrant that image is. As we can see the goal, they obviously take the lead just before half-time. We, however, do bounce back just after half-time, with Rodrigo, again, absolutely destroying Foyth, mate. Honestly, he needs to be put on fraud watch, because this guy is getting absolutely destroyed in both games. Rodrigo absolutely demolishes him, and it eventually leads to a goal with Casemiro, who ties up the game. And the last goal here, after that, is going to be, what is that? A missed penalty from McAllister. Literally a minute afterwards, it's heartbreak as we go down the other end with Rafinha. Get a little bit lucky there as we do outstep. Who is that? That is going to be Enzo into Bruno, into Lodi, who's obviously a fullback, pushed up, and tons of space. Great finish. As promised, we are going to have 2 more variants. This is going to be not necessarily an attacking variant, but a more narrow way of playing, and very good to switch up mid-season because obviously the AI does get used to how you play. Now, this will represent a 4-2-3-1, as I will explain as I go through the player roles. The sweeper keeper is going to simply be on the default. The inverted wingback is going to be on support, on get further forwards and tackle harder. 2 ball playing defenders, again, simply on the default. The left-hand side is going to be an inverted fullback on defend because this side is a lot more attacking, especially with that shadow striker, so he can defend that side with no issues at all. A volante, again, is going to be in the team simply on the default again. A roaming playmaker is going to come in on support, simply on the default. An inside forward is going to be coming in on support, on sit narrower. The AM is also going to be on support, on roam from position. And I don't want you guys to be put off by how many players are on the supportive roles. We still scored a very good amount of goals. Now, if you are really trying to maximise the goals you're scoring, obviously you can have some of these on attacking. But really, for consistency, I wouldn't even change it. Going over to the left-hand side, we are going to go for a shadow striker. Now, this is where it is going to represent your 4-2-3-1. Because essentially, this shadow striker, although he will make central runs, he is told to stay wider. So he's going to almost be here, which means it is going to go back to being a 4-2-3-1. But with this player sort of coming inside here, and obviously the likes of the inverted wingbacks, it is actually a very narrow way of playing football and almost can be seen as an all-out narrow tactic. So it can really catch the opposition off guard if you switch to this midway through a game or even go into a game like this. It's a complete opposite way, but somehow it does eventually transition back in to the so-called and the loved 4-2-3-1. And to finish it off, the advanced forward simply on attack. Possession, again, clean slate, positive mentality. We are going to go with fairly wide, so it does move up 1, because having it on this was way too narrow in my opinion, so it is going to be set to fairly wide. Still, the underlapping runs, we love to see that. Much shorter, slightly higher, and mixed crosses. Transition, things are going to be exactly the same, so nothing too special there, so not going to waste your time. And lastly, out of possession, it does remain exactly the same. I do want to quickly say with this one though, you can obviously, in some elements, some can obviously, this might be a more sort of balanced version of a tactic, to be honest with you, especially if you don't change the mentality. So if you are after a goal desperately, instead of playing about with the line, I would actually go from changing the mentality to positive to attacking to try and chase a goal. But if you are desperate, I'm talking last 5 minutes of the game, obviously you can push it up to higher, but honestly, if you can, do stick to the standard line. Lastly, I've made one for a player who maybe not have the best wingers, has a lot of players that maybe are good centralised, and can play as advanced playmakers, and also, they've done really well playing against some of the bigger teams, so I actually titled this Away and Elite Teams. Now, this doesn't mean if you're playing, say you're playing as Man City, you're playing Luton away, you don't obviously have to use this, but I've put away if you're a bit of an underdog, you're going in against a top team away or an elite team. Obviously, this is a very balanced tactic to go into the game with, get a real feel for it, and then make the correct adjustments to your taste. So the goalkeeper, default inverted wingback, is going to be on support, on get further forwards and tackle harder. 2 default ball playing defenders. The inverted wingback on the left is going to match the right. So again, very, very aggressive wingbacks. Now, although this is against away and elite teams, I'm a firm believer in not going too negative in against these big teams, because essentially you just shut up way too early, have nothing to offer, and pressure gets pummeled right onto your back line and you can't escape. So a very aggressive back four. A volante, again, is going to be in this team, but is now going to be on pass it shorter and tackle harder. So a couple of instructions in this system. A register is simply going to be on the default. The advanced playmaker is going to be on support, on roam from position and sit narrower, exactly the same on the left-hand side. Now, what is beautiful about this tactic is the much shorter passing, the link-up play, the roaming from position. I don't know why I'm now actually moving, but just the way they move, they drift inside is beautiful to watch. The football is absolutely immaculate. Obviously, the reason we're doing this video is he apparently revolutionise football in some aspects of the game, the way that he is playing, and you can replicate it very well inside of this game. An AM in the middle on support, on roam from position, and move into channels, and to finish it off, the cherry on top remains unchanged in all systems, the advanced forward on attack. Team instructions, again, clean slate, but this time balanced, and we are going to go with a very narrow, the narrow of the narrowest, if that makes any sense. We are also going to have much shorter, slightly higher, and dribble less. So a very possession-focused tactic with no underlap and runs on this occasion. Now, you can obviously add this in if you feel like you need to do so, but this is a much more dominant possession-based tactic, still playing in the Diniz way. But let's go over to the in transition. In transition, a few things have changed, or one real big change. This is going to be the same. This is going to be the same. However, just to keep the risk a little bit lower, we are simply going to roll the ball out to the central backs. The central backs, the centre backs. Out of possession, we are going to have that standard line, the high press line of engagement. We've got get stuck in off on this occasion because there's no real urgency to lunge into challenges, especially against these big teams where you might overcommit and get played around. And we are going to have more often and prevent short goalkeeper distribution. And that is going to give you guys 3 of the best Diniz replications in FM24, a manager which you guys have been storming the Discord with and the comments. Keep commenting right now because I'm filling up my list. I've still got about 20 odd to do, but please do get commenting on any videos you want to see. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, but do you know what? Most importantly, guys, just enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you guys did enjoy today's video, here are going to be a couple more videos I'm sure you're going to love. Down here, you're going to see my previous video, and here is going to be a video I personally recommend for you guys to check out. Trust me, you're going to love it.